Saturday. It's Saturday, and that's such an unusual day for me to be broadcasting. But after last Monday, where there was so much to say on Monday because of everything that happened on Saturday and Sunday, I was full of a subject here that I'm here to talk about and broadcast about today. So let's see if we can get through that and I can let go of that and move on to whatever comes next. Greetings, my name is Michael Miller. This is the Michael Miller Trademark Training video out to you because you're watching. Welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, and anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor. And I only have one title today, and that's Let's Talk About Rowings. And keep in mind what I just said about this is meant for you because you're watching, and intended for licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, and anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor. So, I think it's important for me to try to stay focused on the MMP point of view so that you're clear at least about that point of view. And that's historically been all of the broadcast, and now we're talking about rowings on the reformer. And so, what does that mean? Well, to me it means a group of exercises that there's original documentation on from Joe that indicates 6 exercises, 2 facing front being toward the straps, and 4 exercises facing back toward the springs. Now that's just nomenclature that I'm using, and you may wish to use or know other nomenclature. The key point to take away from what I'm saying here is that to me and Joe's original work, there are 6 exercises that comprise the rowing. And 2 of them face one way and 4 of them face another. And just like leg pull front is different than leg pull, in that case the front means front facing gravity, and in this case front means facing the straps. So if you want lists and images that show the exercises, go to hermit.com and figure out reformer rowings, or better yet, spend a couple bucks, I think just $1, and buy the whole reformer list on a Google app. Just buy the app, buy the tablet if you don't have one, just to get the reformer exercises in that order. So rowings. I'm talking about 6 exercises straight from Joe, 2 facing the straps and 4 facing the springs, and that the order that they're in, that I hopefully represented them in, is the order that I don't know, I have to go back and see the rowings. Look at Romana doing rowings. In any regard, I know that what I tried to document was Joe's original work as well as I could, and so the rowings and the way they're done and the order they're in is as close to the original work, if not the original work, of Joe, duplicated by my effort, right? So now I want you to see that these are a picture of bookends. See the bookends? All right, so the bookends are the way I look at the rowing exercises. 2 of them facing one way, 4 of them facing the other. Okay? And they're bookends in that, dare I try for another visual image? That what matters is what's between them. Because they're meant to hold up books, right? They're bookends. And I don't mean to be silly by that, but I'm pointing to the obviousness that the bookends are meant to hold something vertical. And that vertical, of course, is practical because of gravity. And that the rowings are an expression of control, I would say, from the end point of the shoulders. So let's back up a second. I gotta put this in better order. In the reformer sequence, you start out flat on your back, just like on the mat. And then after you do stuff on your back, you end up sitting up. And as a beginner to intermediate, doing stomach massage. So you're seated, feet are on the bar, right? When you go beyond that into the fuller sequence, the rowings take the place of stomach massage, and you go from the assumed stable point of your hips on the mat and connecting your hands to springs to develop, demonstrate, and deepen control from the shoulders. Right? So stomach massage, primarily coming from the hips. The rowings, adding tension that has to be controlled at the shoulders. Further away from center. Let me see if I could say this right in practice for Facebook. So, in the 2 sets of exercises that are called front, which face the straps, right? There's something you do round and there's something you do flat. Meaning the spine is round in the first front rowings exercise, and the spine is flat in the second front rowing exercise. Okay? So there's 2 exercises that face front. That's the bookend facing one direction. And the movement pattern that I'm pointing to is that flexion happens first, and then extension, meaning a round spine, controlling a round spine happens first before you control a straight spine. When you turn around and face the other way, you start with the straight spine. So the exercises, the 2 exercises facing front and the 4 exercising facing back are back to back, like bookends. And yet the pattern, when you go, well, not and yet, but look at the pattern. So when you go to back rowings, It starts with a flat back. And you demonstrate control in your movement of your arms with a flat back. That progresses into the next exercise that's done with a rounding back. And then the next two exercises, shave the head and hug a tree, are back to articulation at the shoulders. One going further away from center in line, and the other establishing a 90-degree perpendicular plane of effort from that line. So, for me to you, I get the fun and the excitement and the passion, I think, obviously, that the rowings are a microcosm of Joe's method, or at least the way I make sense of Joe's rowings, right, is that just out of his own documentation, the two of them face one way and four of them face the other, and because facing front is down in gravity and facing straps has come out of me as being front, then the two exercises facing front, you round back, arms open up, you swing your arms around and come through. And the second one, a flat back coming forward, right? So that's round back and flat back as a bookend facing in one direction. When you face the other direction, you keep the flat back and demonstrate articulation of sagittal plane and frontal plane with the arms. And then you take that into the articulation of flexion out into the reach of the round back of the rowings, back, round. So when you're facing the other way, doing the four exercises, it starts with a flat back. And then you go to a round back. And then you come back to a flat back and establish further away down the line of your spine. And then you reach into articulating 90 degrees, a plane 90 degrees from the line that your spine makes. So in rowings, just like in reformers in general, there's one style, I would call it a style of moving, especially in the rowings, where the student, or practitioner, if you will, the doer of the movement, stays within the spring tension by virtue of the grip on the straps. And I would recommend you consider in Pilates, you start at ease and you initiate from your core and move out from your core, taking on load, right? And then you return from your effort back to ease. So that's one point of view, and this is the MMP point. The MMP point of view is that you start at ease, you move out away from center, taking on load, and then you come back to ease. There's a lot of breathing that could infiltrate the conversation there, but the point is, some reformers are either built or have become reformers where there's always spring tension. There's no at ease in the carriage. And see, that's not at ease. Being under tension is different than being at ease. And just like in a reformer and doing reps on a reformer, ideally you start at ease in the body. And from what the body has, moves out away from center and encounters tension along the way, maybe, especially as support, and then comes back towards center, but is capable of getting out of tension, back to at ease. Because Pilates is an eccentric effort, and to me that means it starts at ease and moves out from there. So, as far as information to you to survive as a Pilates instructor, knowing that there's 6 exercises, 2 facing one way that happen right after each other, and 4 facing another way, facing the opposite way, make them like bookends in that they go from flat back to flat back. See what I'm saying? And doing that helps you keep the order straight, and yet to delve further or to look for the ideal or to interpret what happens based within the ideal. See, the exercises are what they are from Job in terms of the order they're in and the movement that happens. As an observer, I look and I see round back flexion happening first before flat back, and then I see turning around facing the other way, flat back controlling, and then round, and then flexion. So it goes from flexion extension, turn the other way to extension flexion. And then in my notes, I had something about, in general, in Pilates, there's exercises that you introduce before you introduce other exercises. That's too deep, and I'll get into it later, and I got to repeat all this. So I'm going to end here and try to summarize and synthesize and make a better presentation on Facebook. Thank you for listening, and I hope it reaches somewhere out there that isn't part of the Facebook world that you can find on YouTube. That's why I do this here. And I do it because live can't live forever. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, add 2 and 2, direct your thinking, and Geist.